Monday, May 15th is called to order. Everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 2 is roll call.
Madam Chairman, roll call vote. Mr. Frederick?
Here.
Mr. Gladfelty?
Here.
Mr. Long?
Here.
Ms. Jemison?
Here.
Mr. Krova?
Here.
Ms. Freitag?
Here.
I'm here, and Ms. Roscoe and Mr. Boboade are excused.
Thank you. Item 3 is approval of the agenda.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
Who's second?
Mr. Rivers.
Oh, you
He's first, I'm second.
You talked too fast, I didn't see it. I have a motion from Mr. Gladfelty, supported by Mr. Frederick, to approve the agenda as permitted, as presented. Any discussion? Mr. Krova? I'm sorry. Mr. Gladfelty?
Yes.
Mr. Frederick?
Yes.
Mr. Krova?
Yes.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Ms. Jemison?
Yes.
Mr. McAnally?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. The agenda is approved. It's gonna be a rough night. Item 5 is comments from the public on non-agenda items. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak on something?
Madam Chairman?
Chair, number 4.
Oh, I'm sorry. I told you it's going to be a rough night. Okay, item 4, approval of the minutes. Let's see, approval of minutes of the regular planning commission meeting held on April 17th.
So moved.
Support.
Moved, support.
I have a motion from Mr. Frederick, supported by Ms. Jamison, to approve the minutes. Any discussion? Mr. Frederick.
Yes.
Ms. Jamison.
Yes.
Mr. Long.
Yes.
Mr. Gladfelty.
Abstain.
Mr. McAnally.
Yes.
Mr. Krova.
Yes.
Chair votes yes. The minutes are approved. Sorry, but I'm just getting ahead of myself. Okay, now, item 5, comments from the public on non-agenda items. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak on anything that's not on our agenda tonight? We will move right along. Item 6 is public hearings. We have no public hearings tonight. Item 7 is old business, and we have SPR 2018027, Detroit Mac 2, and they were asking for an extension for the site plan. Is the petitioner here?
Hello, I'm Judy Laporte from Detroit Metro Airport Center, and I'm here on behalf of Detroit Metro Airport Center LLC MAC 2. They would like to request an extension for the Vining Road Site Plan 11670 Vining Road. They're stating due to the rise in the interest rates, it's making the construction prices more expensive to build the proposed 56,000 square foot building. The owners believe they cannot offer affordable rate to businesses at this time. They are hopeful to build on this property in the near future, but they're requesting an extension right now.
Any comments? If not, motion is in order.
I have one comment.
I'm sorry.
So it's listed here as the second site plan extension.
Yes.
This is the second one they've asked for.
Correct. No, this is the second one, yes.
Yes.
It wasn't mentioned.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
For the record, sorry.
Okay. I'm still waiting for a motion.
I make a motion, Madam Chair, that we approve SPR 2018027 Detroit MAC 2 site plan extension number 2 for 11670 Vining Road.
Support.
I have a motion from Mr. Frederick, supported by Ms. Jemison, to approve the second 12-month extension for SBR 2018027, Detroit MAC 2, and that will expire on July 20th, 2024. Mr. Frederick,
Yes.
Mayor Chairman,
I'm sorry.
if I could just make a comment.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
And that approval is subject to the items 1 through 10 that are listed on page 2 on the summary report. And this will expire on July 20th, 2024.
What's that?
It's on the second.
In the summary report.
Those are the conditions that were on the site plan.
But they're
when you
still-
approved it, but
they
they
still
Yeah, they were
Forward.
original.
Yep, they're
the
still
same
valid.
That were on the
Yes.
site plan. I
Yes.
didn't, or the original approval.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can we go
Including
again?
the 10 items in the summary report from the city.
Okay.
Support.
Okay. A motion by Mr. Frederick, supported by Ms. Jamison, to approve the second 12-month extension to the site plan approval SPR 2018027 Detroit MAC 2 until July 20th, 2024, subject to the 10 items that are again repeated on page 2 of the planner's report dated May 15, 2023. Any discussion? Mr. Frederick,
Yes.
Ms. Jamison,
Yes.
Mr. Crova,
Yes.
Mr. McAnally.
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Gladfelty,
Yes.
Chair votes yes, your extension is approved.
Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
If I could just say one thing, Judy, Judy has been one of our best customers at the counter over at Public Services. With all the reoccupancies over at Metro Airport Center, she is the example. Her applications are the ones that we use to show everybody else how to do it, and we so
Well, that's
appreciate
thank
it.
you. I appreciate
And we so
that.
appreciate you keeping
I have
up
one
on-
vacant left.
And even like with this extension, she's aware of things and kind
Right.
of helps us remember when things need to be done. See, she's ahead of time, it's not until July, so we
Appreciate
very
it.
much appreciate you,
Wow,
Judy.
thank you so much. I
Yes, thank
appreciate you
you.
saying that. All right, thank you.
You keep that property up too over there, it looks nice.
Thank you.
Looks real
Thank you.
nice.
We hope to see you
Strive to
coming in
do
with
that.
some plans for construction of this.
Yeah, I'm excited about it, so. All right, thank you. All right.
Excuse me. Okay, then we go on, we have SPR 2020013, Ray's Transport. And Ray is asking for a site plan extension for 11777 Harrison Road. Is the petitioner, oh,
Good evening.
you're not Ray.
Good evening. I'm Nino DiDomenico from D&G Building Company. I am representing Ray Amosawi this evening. Fortunately, Ray couldn't be here. He had emergency open heart surgery over the weekend. But we are requesting an extension on the site plan approval due to, we're still in review for Wayne County Stormwater, the new updated water conveyance ordinance through Wayne County that they adopted has delayed a little bit on the project, so we're still in review for Wayne County.
When did they notify you of that,
When did,
of the extension? I mean, of the change?
well, the change was adopted late last year,
Was it last year?
middle of last year?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, really.
September of '21 was the stormwater ordinance, so it just meant that they fell under the new ordinance, and
Right.
they're in the process of doing the application.
No problem.
Make a motion that we grant site plan extension number 1 for SPR 2020013 Ray's Transport at 11777 Harrison Road. Per all the items on the summary of the second page of the report from the city.
Thank you.
Support.
Mr. Long, support? I have a motion for Mr. Mr. Frederick, supported by Mr. Long. To approve the first extension for SPR 12-month extension to the site plan approval for SPR 2020-013 Raised Transport until June 20th, 2024, subject to the 6 items that are on page 2 of the planner's report. And you know those were on the original site plan approval. Okay. Discussion? No?
I got a comment,
Go
Madam
ahead.
Chair. You guys built a beautiful building in our town. I'm happy with that. Thank you. But I'm concerned with the traffic on Harrison Road. This signage is not working in our town. We've got some other buildings in that side of Romulus where the signs, they disappear, and I know it's not your responsibility. But that's my only comment. I don't know if we'll ever see Harrison Road paved in my lifetime.
I hope it does.
Well, I hope it is. That culvert's not
What signs are you
integrated.
talking about, though?
That culvert, I'm talking about Harrison Road, and the previous site is Bucci Farms.
Oh,
I travel that way a lot. The trucks are all supposed to go north. The signs have been gone for quite a while. I've brought it up in other meetings, and nothing happens. I travel that way almost every morning.
it's the first I've heard of this.
It's an issue.
Okay.
There's no ordinance over there, nobody watching it.
Unfortunately, we don't own that building, but I'll talk to the Mucci people about
Okay.
putting up that sign again.
Thank you, appreciate
I'd
it.
appreciate it. You guys build beautiful buildings, and everything is
Yes.
great that way. I'm just concerned with that truck traffic and the dust rolling off that road.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have a public comment?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no, not me. I wonder if she has a public comment.
Oh, did you want to
Can
talk
come
on
to the
this?
podium?
I'm sorry.
Yes, I think so.
I didn't want to interrupt, I just have a question.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. My name is Sandra Parker, and I'm at 28079 Goddard. And my question is, so there's an extension on this project. Does that mean that the project is at a standstill? Or do you continue on building?
Basically what it is that the planning commission is allowed to grant up to 3 extensions on a site plan. Their next step is to go into engineering and construction review. So they've got another year to do that, and if they don't pull permits to build, they'll have to come back and ask for another extension. So it's just kind of a procedural thing, and yep, Nino can definitely answer more on timing, but that's the way the ordinance is written and just what's under the planning commission authority.
Okay, I just didn't understand how that process worked.
Oh, sure, no problem.
Okay. All right, very good.
Thank you. Okay. Mr. Frederick?
Yes.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Ms. Jemison?
Yes.
Mr. McAnally?
Yes.
Mr. Kroba?
Yes?
Mr. Gladfelter?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, the extension is granted.
Thank you very much.
Okay. We now go into new business, and we have SPR 2022, excuse me, 009, PMG Sealmaster parking lot at 27989 Van Born Road. This is outdoor storage expansion. And is the petitioner here? Oh, Carmen. We knew we'd see you sooner or later.
Yeah, I know. Good evening. It's good to see all of you again. Carmen Aventini with CIB Planning. And do you need my address?
We got yours.
Yeah, I figured you might. So I'm here tonight representing PMG Sealmaster, and we're requesting site plan approval, and we've reviewed the letters, all the letters submitted, and in particular focusing on the planner's letter and the engineer's letter. And what I'd like to do is just, if I could go over the key items that they identified and respond to those, and then if you have other detailed questions, I'll certainly answer those for you. One of the big ones is the relocation of the sand silos on the west side of the property. You see those located there? We recognize that those don't meet the setback requirements, so we're going to apply to the BZA for variances for those. If in fact those variances aren't granted, then we're going to have to relocate them in an area that meets ordinance requirements. Okay, and then we obviously work with the building department and Carol in the planning department on that item. So That's the course of action we're going to take. The next one, which kind of drives everything else, is we're requesting a waiver for the gravel area on the southern portion of the storage yard. And that kind of drives everything else because that's where we anticipate parking the heavier vehicles, so we're not going to break up the concrete and so forth. And then the remainder of the items would be stored on the new concrete storage area. And we also recognize that we need to submit a plan that shows how those items will be stored back there, and it'll be reviewed by the fire department to make sure that they have access and all the things that we look for when we're doing storage like that, outdoor storage. So we're requesting a waiver to allow the gravel portion of the lot, and then the remainder will be concrete, as it's shown on the site plan.
So that's the southern portion of the storage yard
Yes.
that you're talking about? Oh,
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Mike's got the plan up over there.
Oh,
It's
okay.
it's that part at the darkest gray at the back there.
Okay. So the next item is the screening of the outdoor storage and the silos from the residential property. And there is existing wooded area in there that we plan on maintaining to the extent possible. And if in fact there are views that are not being blocked, we would obviously supplement it with additional plantings and landscaping. And that won't be known until the time at which, after the parking lot goes. And then you can see whether there's any open areas that can still be seen. And we agree that we would fill in whatever area needs to be filled in with that. The next one is a curbing around the entire storage area. We do agree to that. We will provide the curbing all the way around. The next one is the extension of the sidewalk or a payment in lieu of construction of the sidewalk is determined by you, and we agree to that. We'll be making that a payment, and then you decide whether it goes in now or later.
So you want the payment in lieu of?
We'll do whichever you want.
No, whatever you want.
Well, it's on the frontage of Van Born.
Oh, it's on the frontage of Van Born.
Yes.
I'd prefer to have, my general
Right.
opinion, have sidewalks
I
in
was
there.
thinking it was going down the side, right.
I mean, we can install it, or we can give you the payment in lieu. As you know, typically you do the payment in lieu when there aren't a lot of connections there.
What I find, though, is if connections we don't have, we never have.
Right.
We don't get them when we can get them.
Yeah.
It's up to this body to decide that, but I
Right.
feel like, unless we have other comments.
If I can, through the chair. The majority of the sidewalk is there. They're 25 foot short on the edge where it is landscaped currently right now and does have a lawn. We don't find it problematic because when the sidewalk would continue to the east, that 25 foot would not be that difficult to install at that time and utilize the money that is being placed into the in lieu of account. So the majority of the sidewalk is in the front already. It's just
Okay.
they're missing like 3 slabs.
So instead of doing anything with it right now, you're of the opinion to leave it be?
Until-
Correct.
Okay.
All right, I understand that.
So would there be a payment in lieu of? Yes, okay. Yes, sir?
So we recognize we're going to have to submit revised plans based on the decision made tonight, especially with regard to the gravel. And because that, one way or the other, could change drastically, potentially, the site plan. But if it is approved, we will submit a revised set of site plans that meet the conditions that we're agreeing to tonight. And I know they're anxious to get going on this project, and it'd be nice to get it and everything installed during this season while the weather is warm. So we will definitely, we're looking to move quickly on this.
Any questions from the
Madam
commissioners?
Chair?
I'm sorry. Harold, did you have something?
Nope.
Nope. Mr. Frederick, go first. Oh, Mr. Gladfeldy?
Through the chair, I have a question about this gravel. Are we talking about gravel? I hope I'm not going to hear the word millings.
It's gravel, is my understanding. It's supposed to be actual gravel.
It'll be gravel.
Yes.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Long?
Yes. On the new this won't be new construction. What's the hours of operation over there at the facility?
You know, I know they start early in the morning, and I know they're closed around dinner time, because I tried getting into the site before the meeting, because it's been a little while since I was out there, and I couldn't get in, they had to gate it off, so if I had to guess, I bet their operation is like from, unless you know better, like 6 to 5:30 or 6 to 6, probably
So
something
early
like that.
evening then, they'll
Yeah.
be shutting down.
Yeah.
And also with the relocation of the silos and that gravel portion, would there be a platform behind that gravel portion for the silos? That way, where they'll be relocated at?
You know, I really don't know the answer to that, because I don't know how they fit into the operation. I know the existing operation, but I don't know how the new silos fit into the operation. So if they did not do that, they would have to look at alternate sites based on the operation. I don't know if they can be that far back or not. So I wish I had an answer for you on that. I mean, I don't even know if they would know at this point in time.
And Carol, is there a requirement for it, or Jessica?
Can you restate your question? And I'm looking at the plan right now.
No, my question was regards to whether there'll be a platform at the new relocation of where the silos are proposed.
Currently, the applicant is not proposing to relocate anything, so you're asking if their variance is not granted from the BZA?
Right.
Then it would have to come back to you guys at that point. Because right now, the silos are adjacent to the concrete pavement, and they are on a concrete pad.
Platform, yeah, okay. Thank you for that clarification.
Ms. Jamison? I'm sorry, Ms.
Yeah, through the chair, you mentioned about gravel, and I'm kind of like my co-person down here. I'm not crazy about gravel either. But it does say here in OHM's report that they want to make sure that you're indicating that there'll be some kind of dust control.
Yes, yeah, that's a definite. There would have to be some dust control, and they do agree to that. The challenge, because the mention was made of millings, I'm very familiar with millings, and if you've got an entire lot that's done with millings, I think they work. But when you're matching millings up with concrete like that, I'm not a big fan of it on a specific area like that, being surrounded by, or being up next to concrete. My experience has been it's not as durable as if you just have the gravel back there.
Thank you.
But it will have to be dust-free and maintained.
And that becomes a note on a site plan, and the way that gets enforced is if there is a complaint that comes with it. In fact, the building department was dealing with one. You kind of go back to that site plan, and there's that note, and it kind of just rides right along with the CFO. So it does become an enforcement thing. And, occasionally we do get a neighbor calling and complaining and saying, hey, they're not maintaining it, and there's dust everywhere. But, yep, it's always a note that we make them put on.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that it's always mentioned, and because that is an issue, that later down along the line, everyone forgets.
Right. Yep.
Anything else, Ms. Ferguson? Mr. Proba?
That was the same question I had, was the dust control, because you do have that residential property that's been there for years, and we have to look out for them. So I hope there is a contingency plan that once it's built, if it's creating too much dust, that it protects that residential property.
Yeah, Madam Chair, that's a great point. I will make sure that it's stressed upon my client that they maintain the gravel area, that was one of the conditions that the Planning Commission stressed very strongly. And I think one of the other benefits here is there's a pretty good extension of concrete going back up to the gravel area, where now there's a much more substantial area that's covered by gravel. So I think that will also, it will reduce the amount of area where there's gravel there.
That's what I kind of felt too. It seems like it's so far back that I don't believe that residential property, they might not use that portion of their property very often.
Right.
Because it's farther back.
Yeah.
Maybe a little wet. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? No?
Madam Chair,
Go ahead.
I'd like to motion to approve SPR 2022-009 for the 7 items that were listed in our summary. and we agreed to payment in lieu of the sidewalk. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you, Jerry.
I'll support that.
I have a motion from Mr. Gladfeldt, supported by Mr. Long, excuse me, to approve the site plan for SPR 2022009, Gem Seal PMG Sealmaster, conditioned on the following 7 items that are on page 7 of the planners report dated May 8th, 2023. And that would also include the payment in lieu as opposed to the sidewalk, right? Okay.
Sounds good.
Any discussion? Mr. Frederick? I'm sorry, Mr. Gladfeldt?
Yes.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Now, Mr. Frederick?
Yes.
Mr. Krova?
Yes?
Ms. Jemison?
Yes.
Mr. McAnally?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It was nice seeing you again.
Yeah, good seeing you too. Hopefully I'll see you again in the near future.
And now we're going to SPR 2023006, Romulus Business Center West parking lot. And you're asking for a 200,860 square foot parking lot expansion to the west of 36663 Van Born, consisting of 332 trailer staging spaces. And the petitioners are here.
Yes, good evening. Kyle Morton from Ashley Capital, and got 2 of our construction project managers, Brian and Dennis as well, and Joe Webb, our civil engineer, to answer questions. All right, let's see how I figured this thing out.
That's not the recorder, is it? It should be the remote.
I think
Is it
it's
skinny?
another one.
It's a skinny remote, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, there
There
we
you
go.
go.
There's an up and down button. So we're just going to give a little bit of history of the Romulus Business Center for us, since we've owned the property over the last 30 years. And then this is really the last development piece of the site that we've got left. So kind of talk through a little bit of the history and why we're here today. So we purchased this property from General Motors in 1993. It was the original airplane building from Stinson Aircraft. They built planes during the war. Then GM bought the building and had been operating it as a GM facility until the late 80s. Both buildings 2 and 3, Ashley Capital built in the mid-90s. One was about 420,000 feet, and one was just about 500,000 feet. So both those buildings were vacant land when we acquired the facility, the main roughly 1 million square foot building. The 3 buildings are fully leased. We've had a great luck releasing those over the year, and they've stayed occupied. We use the address of 36663 Van Born Road for this. I just bring that up as to differentiate. The parking lot will have a different address. All right, so we acquired the outline parking site, what we're talking about today, which is roughly 15 acres, as well as a 5-acre piece of land just to the east of this, which we previously built a parking lot on. I think we came to Planning Commission in 2019 or 2020 for that extension. Our original goal was to try to build Romulus Business Center Building 4. Unfortunately, the landowner to the west got a better deal and built the building that's now occupied by ProTrans. So we basically got stuck with a parcel of land that was too small to build a building that we typically do. As part of this site plan approval, we filed an application and an entity merger, so to combine the parcels and combine the ownership with Romulus Business Center Building 3. So we already have zoning in place, the M2 zoning, and just anecdotally, historically, this site had some environmental contamination. There was a shooting range here. There was, I think, some sort of animal operation. So there were some, we had lead contamination. We also had 2 kind of shallow ponds. So both of those have been remediated over time. We had a bunch of soil that was hauled off back, it's probably 10 years ago? 10 years ago. So from an environmental standpoint, all that's been remedied over the last 10 years. So the reason we're here for this request is really tenant specific. We were approached by a, unfortunately cannot say their name, a user who will service the Ford assembly plant across the street, Michigan Avenue Assembly Plant. So this will be a just-in-time operation for that plant. Currently, they are across the street in Wayne, off Van Born Road, and they're in a parking lot that is in failing condition. A lot of the storm structures are collapsing in on themselves, and they're having a lot of drainage issues. So they're trying to find an alternative location, and this is within 100 yards of the other operation. So they came to us looking to, and the specifications of what are proposed in terms of the fencing, the dolly pads, the lighting, the guardhouse, that's all dictated by the user. On the plans, but also in the comments, was just a few comments about traffic. The operation here will be both empty and loaded trailers for just-in-time sequencing to the plant across the street. They're estimating about 100 total trips a day, meaning 50 inbound trips and 50 outbound trips. So estimated about 2 an hour in and 2 an hour out. So it's not a high volume, high frequency in terms of per hour, but it's operating throughout the day, and it's operating as long as the plant is open. So what does all that mean? Instead of having, if seat components or a tire and rim assembly are coming from Mexico, rather than worrying about them showing up just exactly on time, they may have a few additional trailers to sequence into the plant so they don't have to shut the line down if something is coming from across the country or out of the country to go into the plant. So this was not a part of the submittals. We just got a colored version of the landscaping plan, just to outline here. I know there were a few references to landscaping in the notes, just a few items that we needed to rectify in terms of counts, and we'll make sure we do that. What we may look to do administratively is just reallocate some of these trees from some portions of the site that are very, well, maybe the southeast corners or some of the areas in the southwest, and make sure they're more effectively screening on the north. We have some areas that are very heavily wooded on the south ends of the site and are either in the floodplain or our wetlands. So those trees will stay there. We're just looking to make sure we make that Van Born experience a little bit better. This is about impossible to see from here, but we were trying to just show the location of this parking lot, which is directly across the street from that signaled entrance, or one of the signaled entrances into Michigan Assembly. So. And the last was, in terms of guardhouse and fencing, and this is just supposed to be a representative image. We're still waiting for the tenant's approval on actually ordering the shop, placing a deposit to get the shop drawings for it. But this is from the company, Parkut, who builds these. So just wanted to give a representative image. All right. I think the last thing I wanted to comment on, a lot of the comments that were brought up in the letter, we agree with, and we understand we need to resubmit plans. There are 3 waivers that we're asking for. One is to waive the dumpster requirement. We don't anticipate a large volume of trash to be generated from this facility. We're really just having truckers drop a trailer off or pick a trailer up. We will have trash at the guardhouse. The guardhouse is contemplated to have 2 restrooms as well, so we'll have a maintenance company who will be taking care of that, cleaning the restroom. So there'll be a restroom for the guardhouse employee. There'll also be a restroom for the truckers, just in case they need to go to the bathroom. So the second waiver is we had a waiver for the sidewalk requirement, doing the payment in lieu. There is no sidewalk that was installed for the building to the west of us, and there's, I think it's probably another 1,500 feet to the east of us. I think we are okay doing either way. I believe it was a recommendation for us to not. And the third was a waiver for irrigation. We are going to irrigate everything effectively north, or what's page left here, from the guardhouse to the berm. So the berm will be landscaped, but in terms of getting the area around the detention pond or on the southeast corner of the parking lot, we're asking for a waiver to not irrigate that. I think that's everything I got from a summary perspective.
Will the guardhouse be manned 24 hours a day?
Correct.
Carol, either one of you have anything to add?
Just in regards to the irrigation waiver, we will, during the administrative review, we will ensure that there's measures in place or measures discussed on the plans that say how they're going to establish the landscaping in that area prior to the vegetation taking place. But we are supportive of the irrigation waiver to the south. I'm sorry, which section did you say? The southeast? Southwest?
I would say it's everything south of the guard shack.
Everything south of the guard shack, and then all of the...
Which is basically around the 2 detention ponds and in the little islands in the, between the parking lots and in the parking lot.
Yeah, we'll work with the applicant. There are methods, or they have to state what methods they are going to use to establish the vegetation in that area. But the vegetation along E-course will be, that'll be nice, and will be irrigated along the berm, which will screen the roadway.
Do we need a
I'm sorry.
fifth waiver? Do we need a fifth item listed?
Yeah, we only show 2 waivers here.
Yeah, we have 1 through 4 right now.
Right, that was down here, that there was just some confusion about it.
Yeah.
So he explained it, and it sounds like they do need a waiver.
Including
So, yep,
waiver for
add
the
it-
irrigation,
Add it
okay.
to.
Waiver for irrigation.
Right. So we've got the dumpster waiver, the sidewalk waiver, and the irrigation waiver.
So that would be 5.
Yes.
Yeah, and as they note, as it's being noted in the resolution comments, that if the trailers are visible, they'll add additional landscaping. And that landscaping would be in the irrigated area. And I'm sorry, they have another project on E-course, so thinking of that one.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. No other comments? Open it up to commissioners. Mr. Gladfeldy.
Through the chair, I don't quite understand why you guys want to get rid of this dumpster. Is a contractor going to haul the garbage away from this building?
That's our understanding, and it's the tenant's obligation to do it. So this is what they asked us for.
To me, it seems like a minor thing to have the dumpster there. The truckers clean the back of their trailer out, where's it going to go, in our parking lot? You know, blow around the city?
Yeah, I think we've done a pretty good job on landscaping and trash maintenance, and our intention is to be a stickler to them as well. We own the property immediately east of this too, so if the trash is blowing, it's probably blowing on our property.
I just don't want to see it blowing around.
No, and if it's not working and the tenant is creating a mess, I'm happy to make that an obligation that they get a dumpster. But for us to put in a dumpster and an enclosure, and they're saying they don't need it.
I have another note here I'm reading from our city inspector. He's also asking about a pad for this. I know you don't know the size of this guard shack yet, but he's asking about a pad. He wants documentation for it. How big this guard shack is going to be, the base.
Sure. Yeah, I think we submitted an architectural, at least schematic. I don't know if I haven't.
I didn't see a schematic.
No, I didn't either. I might have missed it, but he's asking.
I thought it was something in the direction of 20 by 12.
Okay, yeah, I'm looking at 4 different notes that our inspector asked for, and
Okay. Well,
I didn't see it personally.
It's up on
I know, but I don't know the dimension of it, you know.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Part of the hard thing from our side on the submittals is we actually can't get the shop drawings generated until we put a deposit down to get it. So what we're asking for is we will submit a full set of drawings prior to ordering it to make sure it gets approved by the city.
I think he wanted to just remind them they needed to be signed and sealed,
Yeah,
so.
okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Madam Chairman?
Mr. McAnally?
The trailers that are coming in, they're not vehicle haulers. These are all components for cars going to assembly, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so there'll be no new vehicle storage or anything like that there?
Correct. We've made a note that if, we'll put a note on the plans if it isn't already there. If that's going to be the case, we need to come back in front of the planning commission. So the intention is not to store cars here. I believe Ford is building a lot directly across the street in Wayne for car storage. It's just a little west of here.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, I have
Mr. Brennan?
through the chair, I have a few questions. So the police report that we had from our Sergeant Miller, he expressed concern over a potential conflict between existing traffic loads at the 50-mile-an-hour speed limit from your trucks pulling out and going west, and like just basically diagonal across the road to the facility they're headed to. Because Van Born Road's basically it's 2-lane, one east, one west, and there's a ingress-egress lane, a decel lane that you could be pulling directly over into. It just seems like really close proximity, especially with the red lights at the Pro-Trans and the Ford entrance there. I know there's 2 lights and it stops at east and west, so pulling out of there will be no problem. And come in east to pull in your facility will be no problem. But my concern is the pulling out. If there's a stack of cars, your trucks won't be able to go either, to go west, to go back into the, left, right.
Yeah, so
That jog.
we looked at this with our traffic engineer, and just actually having the signal helps us take a left-hand turn because it helps break up traffic flow.
But you don't have a signal. Pro-Trans has a signal.
But I meant the signal to the west actually helps.
But that's going to stop the cars in a line back your way.
Yeah, it's hard for us to we can't get to that light.
Right.
So it's,
2 trucks an hour doesn't seem like a lot, but how are you going to maintain a 2 truck an hour exit limit? Like, it could be 10 in 1 hour.
yeah, and this was a representative count. I don't think we're saying, that was an average. It's not supposed to be 2
Right.
exactly.
Because I know how just-in-time works, and if they call for it, it goes.
Sure.
And it looks good to say 2 an hour for the traffic study not being required, but it might actually require a traffic study if there's like 50 trucks in 1 hour. Because there's 335 spots here.
And I would defer to the city and the planning staff on that, because we were told we didn't need a traffic study.
Right, it said right in here that, because it's 100, based on 100 trips a day, but that's 2 an hour over 24 hours. It could, you could have spikes, let's just say. It's just an observation, because I know exactly how JIT works.
No, I understand, and it's also the existing 1.8 million square feet and all that, there's no signal for that. So what we're talking about is, a relatively nominal increase based off the existing. So in terms of being the proximity to the intersection, that's just a fact. And what we also have is the ability, the way the plan is actually drawn, is that there's an existing, I'll see if I can pull up a different map that shows this. So the fencing actually, does this have a pointer to it? I don't know. So the fencing goes, this is east-west at this point. So if the trucks needed to, there is no fence that prevents them from going up and coming back around. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So if
But they
we
would be
do run-
skipping your guard check then.
Say that again?
They would skip your guard check.
No, they would actually come, this is the ingress egress point for the guard shack, so an outbound truck could come out and come up and around. If the problem is queuing and getting that left-hand turn from the traffic signal. Does that make sense, or did I say that wrong?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I'm looking at your curb there. I don't know how they're going to make that turn.
They're gonna make that turn with an 18 or, not 18-wheeler, but a trailer.
Yeah. We could look at adjusting that curb too.
I mean, if that's your escape plan.
Yeah.
That it needs to be indicated on the plan as a truck can sweep that way.
Yeah, we can look at adjusting that.
Okay. And then another question. I know you said auto parts, which makes sense, but are we talking lithium batteries?
So we asked the specific question, and we were told no at the moment, because there are no electric vehicles that are made. What we did caveat is that if lithium-ion batteries start getting stored there, we need to be told, and it needs to be a condition on the site plan, and we'll make a note for that.
Because my concern there is you don't put them out with water.
Oh,
And our fire department would be it would be beyond their limits to handle a situation like that. And I know they're out there. The only way to put them out is to bury them. And that was just a concern I had, that batteries would come in there.
yeah, and we're unfortunately getting up to speed on these, the battery and codes related to this, because it's frankly a bigger concern in the buildings than they are outside. Outside the building are still a concern, especially in a trailer. But when we're talking about, there's several of our tenants, including one who's going to start manufacturing batteries, that we're learning that as well. There are requirements for the batteries to be under 30% charged to be on the roads, which at that point makes them a safer storage item. But we're told at this point there are no batteries that are going to be in there.
Okay, it's just that I know there's already been documented cases where they've self-combusted. And luckily didn't take out more than they took out.
We had one in Livonia catch fire in a facility, so.
So I got that. And so between the destination and your lot, what kind of trucks are we talking back and forth? Switching tractors?
I actually don't know the answer to that, Joe. Yeah, I don't think those are street legal. I think it would be a full.
I see them all the time.
Yeah. All over our town.
And then there's a situation too, like a second part to that is, so trucks coming and going from your property, if it's using switcher tractors, those guys are prone to leaving the back doors open and pinned to the sides of the trailer. How would you control that?
So I think we need to talk to the tenant and make sure we understand that. I don't believe that they're switchers, but I can't make that comment. So I'll make sure we address that. But, it's up to the tenant to, I'm not going to be there watching, and I don't want to make any promises on that. But if they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, we'll have a remedy to make sure we fix that. So I know that's not a great answer, but I need to follow back up.
Right, and also on the OHM report, there was a concern about landscape. Let me just visit that real quick. Landscape, and it was, okay, what it says is, I'll just read it. We can figure it out from there. So landscape plans were prepared, associate dated, plans were reviewed. See, multiple calculations are incorrect and several plantings do not meet minimum requirements. Can you express on that?
Yeah, so I mentioned, that was what I attempted to comment on earlier. So there were a few items where we had some bad calculations, so we'll make sure we correct that in the next set of plans.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Yes, Madam Chair. Madam Chair,
Mr. Long?
were those conditions that Mr. Fredericks alluded to should be added to the summary report? And,
What was that?
Those conditions that Mr. Fredericks alluded to as far as the landscaping and curb and all of that need to be added to some of those conditions that need to be met if this is approved.
So I think the landscaping would be caught in the addressing comments.
Right, but I
Right.
think number 4 covers that. We talk about addressing the comments above and those of other agencies and departments prior to submittal of engineering plans.
So do you mean the lithium battery storage?
Yes.
Okay, so you want to put a condition on no,
No
storage of lithium batteries is prohibited?
Okay,
Or maybe say that the city would be informed if that's where it heads, so you don't just get the call in the middle of the night and say, guess what, you can't handle this one.
Okay.
I would say they have to apply for reoccupancy
Circulation.
if the storage materials are changed.
Yeah.
Rather than just an
Yeah.
information, it should be an application for reoccupancy
okay.
if the storage materials are
Yeah, if it's
changed.
just information.
Yeah, just so everyone is aware.
This way they can run it through their review process, so. Good suggestion,
It
Jessica.
protects Ashley Capital, it protects the customer, it protects the city and the fire department.
And then
It may require a larger water main or a hydrant.
You can't put them out in water,
Yeah,
you just wait
yeah.
or bury them.
Yeah, it definitely is a safety issue.
So do we have a 6th waiver or 6th item?
I think the other item that was discussed was the revising the ingress and egress from the parking lot in order to allow for an escape route if the traffic is backed up on Van Born.
That's a good idea.
Yes.
And just to clarify, I think there was the waiver for the irrigation too.
And that's listed already.
Okay, great.
Oh, no, I am sorry, it's not.
That was number 6.
That's
number
that was
5.
number
That was number
six, yeah.
5. Guard shack south.
So how many are we up to now?
I've got 6.
7.
Waiver for
7.
irrigation,
Right, that was 5.
That was fine.
egress, ingress,
That's 6.
The battery.
and that must be 7 in the battery then.
Yep. 7, here we go.
If they have to reapply first, or,
Reoccupancy.
okay.
I'd like, Jessica, you should be a planner, so that it states if storage changes. So if it did change to vehicles, if it changed to anything, send it back through reoccupancy, and then we'd make a determination if it was a major or minor change to bring back to you or not.
So it could be handled administratively.
It would come through, that's kind of the reoccupancy change, we call it
Right.
change of use.
Right.
And we handle it all through reoccupancy. So it
Okay.
comes through, and if it's something simple, we can handle administratively, but if it's something bigger,
Right, then
and
it
we
comes
need
to us.
direction on, we bring it
So
to
if they
you.
came back with batteries, then they would say, okay, we need a different way, change a water main or whatever, then we'd still have to see it as a site plan.
Right.
Okay.
It may, some of it may require some of the environmental review board to, if anything got, depending on what it was, I mean, just thinking way out there and anything
There's still a
possible.
lot unknown in that.
Anything else?
I just have a comment, Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
They're asking for a waiver for the dumpster. Can we have some kind of, something for maintenance on that facility? Can we ask for that? That the garbage is cleaned up and hauled away? There needs to be some kind of maintenance agreement.
Jim's report
Yeah, what is
asked
this?
for,
There isn't one already?
he said provide a method for trash rubbish containment.
I thought I saw something about picking up trash.
The janitorial's going to haul.
So I think that they, as other developments have provided in a, if the dumpster is waived, Jim's report is asking for a method of trash or rubbish containment, and they would have to have that on the plan stating that they're going to have biweekly pickup or nightly pickup or some sort of measurement that we can take. And
We gotta have someone who can enforce it.
correct, yeah, so,
Right.
so if they meet all the requirements on the building and safety review, then they will have that list of what.
So you could strengthen the condition of number one, the waiver from section 13.03 to waive the dumpster requirement, subject to the submittal of a, what did he call it, a methods plan?
Method for trash and
Method for-
rubbish containment.
Yep.
What are we changing that one to? The waiver of
Subject
the
to a
dumpster?
statement being
item
added
one,
to the
yes.
plan describing the method of,
Trash and rubbish containment.
thank you, Jessica.
On the plan.
And
Yep.
removal.
Yes.
So subject to rubbish containment and removal method listed on the plan.
Yep, there you go.
Thank you.
I'll make sure I follow up on that as well as the tractor type and the door item. Those were both kind of open-ended questions, so.
It always surprises the that takes their A-pillar out. When the door swings, it takes
Oh.
out the A-pillar of the car coming.
Yeah, we see that more in the facilities than on the roads, but I don't think.
Well,
of it-
just because it's such a short hop.
Understood, yeah.
I've seen it.
Okay, definitely not something we thought about, so thank you.
So we have seven
Items in the
items.
summary.
Okay. Is there anything else we need to talk about?
One question. Jessica, on the waiver for the irrigation,
That's number 5.
that's number 5, waiver from the irrigation requirement south of the guardhouse, subject to, did you have that wording in your report to them describing the,
I did not, because the waiver had not been requested.
okay, so what wording do we want on that then? Subject to.
Wasn't it pending administrative review?
Yeah.
Yeah, if we just leave it pending administrative review,
Okay.
we'll take care of it.
Perfect, we'll take care of it then. I know you had some language, we did another one. and you
I
had
know,
some-
and I can't
Some good
remember.
language. We'll get you the
It was
language.
acceptable watering method. to-
Something like
yeah.
that. Yep, it was probably on your other plan.
I think it was. So that works for us.
Okay. I'm on number 84. Excuse me, are we all settled on that?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Good to go?
Yes.
No other questions or comments? Motion is in order.
Madam Chairman,
Mr. McAnally,
make a motion to approve site plan for SPR-2023-006, Romulus Business Center West Parking Lot expansion, subject to 7 items listed in the summary report, with item 1 being having the additional subject to rubbish containment and removal method listed on the plan, and then adding number 5, which is
irrigation.
irrigation waiver. Number 6, revision to the entrance,
Ingress and egress.
egress. Number 7, if any storage changes happen, reoccupancy would be in order. Reoccupancy process.
Mr. Frederick?
Yes, Mr. McAnally? On item 6, so not to confuse ingress egress with the Van Born Road, but ingress egress to the east on the property.
If everybody's in agreement, I'm fine with that.
You said to the east?
Yes, because it's right, it's inside the property, right past the
Okay.
guard check, it's internal site.
That's fine.
Just so there's no confusion about the main road.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
Support?
Support? All righty. I have a motion from Mr. McAnally, supported by Mr. Grova, to approve SPR 2023-006, Romulus Business Center West Parking Lot Expansion at 37545 Van Born Road, and subject to the 7 items that are listed on, well, page 6 of the planner's report,
As
dated,
discussed.
right, dated May 8th, and just with addition to the 3 items, 4 items that were discussed. Good enough? Any discussion? Mr. McAnally?
Yes.
Mr. Crova?
Yes?
Mr. Frederick?
Yes.
Mr. Gladfelty?
Yes.
Ms. Jamison?
Yes,
I'm sorry?
yes.
Okay. Mr. Long?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Site plan is approved.
Thank you very much.
Alrighty. Here comes the big one. PC cases involving advice or input from the planning commission.
I don't need any advice, but I have advice for you guys. I think you all need to attend the State of the City on May 24th. Have you guys gotten notice of that at all?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So
I
you all
haven't.
have it on your calendars, right?
I haven't RSVP'd yet.
Okay, yes, please, RSVP to the mayor's office. If you don't, you can still come. And that's my advice for you guys tonight. I don't need any from you. Thank you for offering though, so.
If their work schedule allows.
If your work schedule allows, right.
Reports on interest designation. Well, Mrs. Roscoe isn't here tonight, so I guess
We got off easy.
we run rampant through the city. Anybody else?
No, ma'am.
Communications, we have the project status report. Anybody have any questions on that report?
I do about the Royal Farms is gone now?
Yeah.
Yes, Royal Farms is gone, and next month you will be seeing sheets.
I'm very
They
familiar
will-
with sheets.
You are good.
Western Pennsylvania, they're very big.
Okay. They will be coming in for a special land use to add a drive-through. The plan is actually better. The
They're gonna have a
building, I
dining
think,
room.
looks better, the site looks better. We hear the food is better. So, yep, you'll be seeing it next month. The special land use, we met with them last week. The special land use application came in today. They're going to get us a site plan by the end of the month, and I think we're going to be able to turn it quick.
You met with the petitioners? You met with representatives?
We did, yeah.
Cool.
Yep, representatives from Sheets, so.
Carol, I got one more question for you, and I've been going to call you for a month.
Uh-oh.
What is going on over there at Goddard and Middlebelt Road? I see the old Clark Station, there's nothing
Oh,
going on
my
there.
goodness.
But I see some construction blocks along that auto body
Yes.
shop. Is that a temporary wall?
It is
or-
an absolute mess over there, isn't it?
It is. I hate driving by there.
Jeff and I just talked about it the other day. I was kind of, we've got another, you're going to be seeing another collision shop coming in. It's a new building, it's on North Line. And it's a situation similar to what that one looked like when it first came in. It was just a reoccupancy. This is a new one that's coming in, but there's a bunch of vacant property. And any time we have that kind of use with a lot of vacant property, it causes some worry. And that's exactly what happened over there. It came in and it was very contained, but they have just illegally, spread. So they are definitely in the enforcement system, as is the Clark Station. They've written stuff to get that canopy down and get the site cleaned up.
Are those blocks there, are they temporary?
They just put them there, so that's a great question. That's building. Building is handling it, building and enforcement. I will pass it on first thing in the morning.
That corner is ugly.
Oh, it's terrible. It's
It's really
terrible.
bad. It's bad. Yes. We thought the Clark Station looked bad.
All that mess over there.
Madam Chair, if you don't mind, if one of you can explain sheets, I overheard the audience say, what is sheets?
Sheets?
I got some information. So if you go on their website, it's Sheets. If you go on the website, it's Sheets, SHEETZ. You'll see pictures of what their places look like. Very nice.
They're clean.
They have them in West Virginia.
They're
Yes.
clean, they're spotless.
Yep, it looked like a good menu and
Just so you know, Royal Farms backed out because they're family-owned, and they felt having one in this far east from them, or west from them, would be hard to handle, since they're all family-owned. So that's why they kind of backed out. It wasn't like, they didn't want to come, but it was more of a family issue. Right.
Where is that going to be located?
The corner of Wick Road and Vining.
Right in the corner.
Anecdotally, we built sheets before, and they were great.
Oh, good to know.
A nice-looking facility. They've been around since 1952, I believe. I think it says established 1952.
It just doesn't sound real appetizing.
I'll deal with it.
Yeah, right.
So on the report here, Carol, down there towards the bottom, third from the bottom, it says Romulus Apartments?
Yep.
Misspelling or?
Nope, that's how they're spelling it.
Okay.
Yes, it's a gentleman that's done a lot of development overseas and is working actually closely with Kevin Kraus on it's near the property near the fire station. So it's working on using some of city property and so yep, that's just what they spell, or that's just how they spell it. So. I know last month you guys talked about Romulus Distribution Center. Since they're sitting here, maybe they want to tell us when it's coming back. We've got to have a public hearing on that as well. Is that going to be ready for June? Come on up and tell us.
Glad I stayed. We actually just had a meeting ahead of this with the entire design team, largely focused on, I'd say the two big themes are cleanup comments and then addressing some landscaping concerns. So I think we've worked through most of those and are hoping we can be in a position to resubmit next week.
Great.
Hopefully
Great.
that-
If I've got your special land use application early next week, I'll publish it. So
Okay. Yeah.
we'll do 2 public hearings. We'll do sheets and you guys. That would be great.
Look at the engineers all happy back there now.
Yeah, yeah, and then I'll tell
Thank
all
you.
of them, all that other stuff, move these 2 ahead.
Thank
We
you.
got public hearings coming. So, good. Yep, we'll be in touch.
Also, Carol, at the, on the bottom page, it says 1H2, I know we asked this before, Smith Road, hydrogen fuel and hydrogen infrastructure.
Yeah, it's very goofy. We've been dealing with them. They're on the property right next to Alta, and initially it sounded like it was a project where they were bringing in hydrogen to fuel the Alta vehicles. We've met with them, once or twice? At least twice. Yeah, at least twice. They're very confused on what they need to do. Their plans are very technical from this standpoint. They've been working with DPW on where other utilities are, and we honestly haven't heard from them in several months. Or actually, I did get a call from someone that somebody else in their office was already working on it. It was a call, and it was, boy, this project sounds really familiar. And when she told me where it was, I said, do you know this guy? He's, so I said, why don't you go talk to him? So, yeah, there's, but yeah, it was something to, hydrogen fuel, it's hydrogen fuel. A little similar to the DTE substation, but bigger. In terms of area and what it looked like, a compound. Definitely more to it. But we haven't seen it, so.
Just 2 other little things. I know I keep talking about the overpass on 275 at Here River Drive. Is there a landscape plan for that?
I have no idea.
Somebody was out there working.
I know, they're getting it together over there finally.
Yeah.
But I just wondering on the
Yeah.
banks and the.
So because it's public property, planning, we don't deal with it. So that's all, I think Robert, I know you've talked to Roberto. Did he call you last time?
No, I never got hold of him.
Okay, I'll have him call you.
I just know, I see in other communities where they really go out of their way for the overpasses and such and underpasses. And- but Like, for instance, Ford Road and 275 or anything in Novi.
Right.
I was just wondering if we were getting the same treatment,
That
being
I
so close to the airport.
That I couldn't tell you. Public property, they don't let us touch it.
Just
They
another
don't have
side
us
note.
doing right-of-way stuff, so.
And just another side note on lithium batteries. Like in Honda has a test facility, and where they'll crash a car into the wall, if they have an incident, above their facility, they have a silo full of sand, and they bury the car. That's the only way you can contain it.
Wow.
Just so you get an idea what I was talking about when I was talking about it. Because water don't do it. Picture a whole truck trailer. Or 335 truck trailers.
Yeah, Ford had some, a parking lot fire, about 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago.
Ford did?
Yep.
Yeah, the Lightnings.
Yep, they
Yeah,
couldn't put out the
one-
initial vehicle,
one
but they did
burst,
protect the
took out the
surrounding
two next
vehicles.
to it.
Yeah.
You're lucky it wasn't in the plan.
Madam Chairman,
Mr. McAnally?
to planner. I see,
I'm texting Roberto, I'm going to ask him to come to the next planning commission meeting.
Sure.
I'm dead serious, so he can kind of explain all this and maybe bring the plans and stuff, so,
Sounds good.
yep. So, go ahead.
I see there are 3 companies operating out of basically the same building on Hunt Street. Is that how they're getting away with 5,000 cars? is by claiming they're-
It's another one of the projects that's under ordinance and buildings. I haven't been brought into that one, so there was one reoccupancy that we did, that we were asked, I did talk to the prosecuting attorney about it once for some background information, but they're
But they're doing some form of process to
yes,
straighten them
there is
out.
something going on enforcement-wise. I can actually probably, that was under that. I'm not sure if this is the one, though, that they wrote the ticket. I think they all have tickets. They may. Where was that on here?
It's on page 6. 3/4 of the page down, there's S&L Auto, CMG Auto, and United Auto. Each one have one employee
Yeah.
each.
Yeah, let me take a look and see what they've got citation-wise.
But they're basically out of the same building.
The first one, that SG, their address is 11334.
Right, but if you do 70, but I think they're all the same
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
location.
CMG and SNL.
It says auto repair
Here it
facility.
is.
And this one here, auto repair and body work,
Yeah.
and the mechanic and body workshop, one employee.
If you've ever been
They're all
down
the
there,
same.
they're right
That's
on
under
the road.
reoccupancy. Have they received an occupancy permit?
You know, it's not been updated in here since March, and I'm guessing that, so the way it works is anything with wheels goes through ordinance and the police department, so I'm not gonna be able to tell
Okay.
in here. Anything else, there is some property maintenance stuff over there that goes through the building department, but again, I'll have, you know what, if you guys, this would be a great idea, because I feel bad that I can't answer these questions. If you could email me your questions ahead of time, I can have Jeff, and he'll be back next month. It was his wife's 40th birthday tonight, so we let him have the night off. But if you can get us your questions, I can have him, and I can also have ordinance and the police department get these answers. And that way we can answer them for you. I apologize.
That's fine.
They're not my department. They come up and we overlap a little bit, but, you know, the day-to-day.
Any other questions or comments from anybody? No?
Well, just one question. How goes the Wayne Road E-Course project? I'm seeing the fallout everywhere, but how's the project going?
Again, it's DPW, and Jessica can probably answer that.
Well, it's not a city project. It's a Wayne County project. It has gotten underway. Roberto, I believe, is going to their weekly progress meetings, but it is probably not going to be up and running again as an intersection until August at this point.
That's not bad.
It's better than expected.
August is not as bad as it
Yeah,
sounds.
I was going to say next year.
August weather dependent.
Of course. I was just wondering how it's going, because I'm not going down there to look.
No, I wouldn't.
I'll never get back.
It's a hard time getting out of the city anymore. Any other questions or comments? If not, we have item 12, which is adjournment.
So move.
Support.
Was that you, Ms. Jamison?
Yes.
I have a motion for Ms. Jamison, supported by Mr. Gladfelter, okay. To adjourn, Ms. Jamison,
Yes.
Mr. Gladfelter,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Kroba,
Yes?
Mr. Frederick,
Yes.
Mr. McAnally.
Yes.
Chair votes yes. This meeting stands adjourned.